Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom Airsoft. It's good to see you again, and as always, if it's your first time here, then it is good to see you. I hope you'll stick around. Today we're doing a little bit more tech, nothing big, hopefully quite a simple job. Something that has cropped up a few times when I've been working on friends, replicas and people at my local site. Before I get into that, as always, as you probably know if you're following us already, but this is one of our regular weekend videos where we look at all sorts of topics of airsoft, a little bit of tech, gear reviews, guides, introductions to kit, replica reviews, that type of thing. I'll do that every weekend, and midweek I always look to upload some sort of gameplay video if I've managed to get out to a game. So with that in mind, if you are enjoying my series of videos, then do please subscribe to the channel. It does mean that you won't miss any of my uploads, and I'll keep you up to date with all of my weekend and weekday videos. And if you enjoy this video, then do drop a like on it and let me know what you think in the comments. So with that out of the way, let's crack on. What are we going to be looking at today? Well, today I did promise that I would show you how to change hop rubber and indeed hop unit. In this particular video, we're going to be changing the hop unit as well as the hop rubber on this particular barrel set that I've got here. Now, if you're going to be following along with this job and you are looking to change your hop rubber, barrel, nub, bucking, whatever it is you're looking to change on your inner barrel group, then obviously you're going to need to remove the inner barrel on your particular replica. This particular inner barrel is a non-standard barrel. Most of them coming out will be silver or bronze depending on your replica. But obviously you'll need to get the inner barrel out first. You'll find that particularly on most AEG replicas, your inner barrel and hop unit are going to be joined. It won't come apart easily. So you'll take this entire unit out, and that is all we're going to be working on. The replica, the upper, the lower, you don't need any of that at the moment. All you need is this, and this is what we'll be working on, and we'll go from there. So this obviously is your inner barrel. This is your hop chamber or hop unit. This particular one is SHS and it's rotary. I was trialing it out as a budget option. They're very affordable. You can get these on most airsoft retailers online, and to be honest, this one's been very good. It's worked really well for me for the money I paid for it. It's only plastic, but it's worked really well. I've found it to be quite a consistent hop, and for the money, it's great. It comes with a hop rubber, but you know, there are some downfalls to it. For example, this one has broken off at the front, which is one of the reasons I'm changing it. So what do we do first if we're looking to change our hop rubber or hop unit or hop chamber? In order to change the hop rubber, you have to remove the hop chamber anyway, so I'm going to cover the entire thing here. So the first thing that you want to do really, especially with a rotary hop, is ideally I like to remove the hop arm altogether if I'm going to be changing the hop rubber, or if I'm indeed just changing the hop chamber and I want to keep the hop rubber, because you know you don't want to rip the hop rubber if you're going to be keeping it. Now, if you aren't going to be keeping the hop rubber, as I'm not going to be doing in this instance, you can just wind the hop up all the way off. So make sure it's wound all the way off, which you can see. I don't know if you can make that out on camera, but when you wind it on, as you can see, the arm goes down, and as you wind it off, the arm comes up. Now, these rotary hops are pretty simple to dismantle if you're going to be changing the hop rubber out and keeping it, and you want to make sure you don't damage it. Basically all you have to do is remove this tag at the back here. That little tag there will pull off. That's just a retaining clip. You remove that, you can then remove the wheel, as simple as that, and then this pin here will push through. You see I pushed it from that side, it's captive on one side. You pull that out all the way, that's that pin gone. And then from that point, your hop arm will drop out. Now, on most hop arms, this one is a little bit unusual in that it doesn't actually receive a nub. It's just a solid plastic arm, which is the downfall of a cheaper hop chamber such as this as well. But normally you'll have an indentation on the hop arm here, and on that indentation is where you'll have a little rubber nub. So when you do tip that out, ensure that you don't lose the nub if it falls out with it, and if it doesn't fall out with it, then you might want to just tap it out, make sure that your nub falls out. So that is basically the rotary hop chamber dismantled. All we need to do next is remove the hop chamber from the Emirate barrel. Now sometimes what I find is a small technical screwdriver comes in handy for this, because you need to remove this barrel retaining clip which is here, and that's what stops the hop unit moving about and sliding off your inner barrel. So in order to remove that, it's held on under tension. Ooh. So we flick it off. Mine has gone walkies. We won't worry about that though, because we're not using this hop chamber. But obviously if you're going to be reusing your hop chamber, you don't want to lose that clip like I just did. Okay, now once that clip is off, then your hop chamber should be able to slide off, and it's a case of just gently easing the hop chamber back until it comes off the hop rubber. Ideally we wouldn't want that brass ring, which is a retaining ring, to be held in quite so tight, but on this one it has got tight. So now sometimes you'll find that these don't play ball. A little bit of wheedling about should get it. As you can see, the hop rubber is creasing there, so we're just gonna have to take the whole thing off. Okay, not ideal at all. If you were going to keep that hop rubber, I wouldn't be too happy about that, but again, that's a flaw with this cheaper chamber. Now that would normally slide completely off and you'd be left with your hop rubber on the inner barrel. In this case that hasn't happened. If you were trying to remove that from the hop chamber, the hop barrel, I wouldn't recommend using a metal screwdriver, because obviously that's got a good chance of tearing the hop rubber. I'm not using this hop rubber again, so I'm not too worried. I just wanted to get it out to show you. So that's the hop rubber out of there. As it turns out, it hasn't damaged the hop rubber anyway, but to be fair, it's not a particularly good hop rubber that was in, it was just one I was trying out. So that's a brass retaining ring. It's supposed to help stop the hop up chamber moving around. But that's it. So that's our inner barrel. That's been separated from the hop chamber. If you find that you've got any muck or dirt around your inner barrel where the hop up sits, then do give it a clean up. Now is a good time to clean your inner barrel, because obviously you've got no worries about putting your cleaning rod down there. This barrel is clean. I have cleaned it recently, so I don't need to re-clean it. A couple of things to note on your inner barrel, and the reason really why I've started to do this video today is that I've noticed on some replicas from friends that the hop chambers have been changed but installed completely incorrectly. You probably note here that there is a hole in the barrel, which is called the hop window, and the rest of it's solid. Now the first thing to note is that is where your hop arm pushes your nub into the inner barrel. That's where you get your bulge that causes the resistance, which causes the backspin on your BB, which we discussed in the previous video that I mentioned about hop up chambers. So I mean, obviously if you install your hop up the wrong way up and you have the hop arm that way around, it's just going to be pushing on solid aluminium, metal, brass, whatever it is that your inner barrel's made out of, and it obviously isn't going to push the hop rubber into the chamber. So you've got to make sure when you're putting a hop chamber on that you put it the right way up, and that your hop arm is going to act on that window and push the bucking in and make you bulge. So that's a common fault I've come across. That's the thing to remember. That is your barrel, that's your hop window. That's where the hop up magic happens with your hop chamber. These little notches you'll see on either side of your inner barrel, those little notches are for the barrel retaining clip that I flicked off earlier, and that's what stops the inner barrel sliding around in and out of your hop chamber, keeps it in place. So that's it. That's it. The last thing is the little indentation here on the bottom. I don't know if you can make it out on camera, but the inner barrel will always have a little line cut into it down the bottom there, not all the way through, and that will match up with your bucking, which will always have a raised section on the inside of the bucking for a standard hop system. And all you basically do is that, so you can line your bucking up. You line that little raised section of your bucking up with the ridge in your barrel, and then slide it on, and that's it. But we'll do that with the new hop chamber and new hop rubber. So that's all the bits of the old hop chamber and the old bucking, the brass ring. Obviously that didn't come with a nub, and there's your barrel retaining clip as well, which I've managed to find. So what we're going to be putting in this one now, I know there's a lot of debate about whether these are any good or not. I've honestly had success with most of the ones I've fitted. I've found them to be a good, reliable hop chamber. This is a Prowin CNC aluminium hop unit. As I say, I've always found these to be more than adequate on my replicas. I've not had any issues with them. And the bucking that I'm going for is a G&G green bucking. Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. I use G&G replicas. I've found the range on them to be very good. Reading online, a lot of people have had a lot of success with the G&G green bucking, so I'm going with public opinion on that one. I've never installed one in a non-G&G gun. On this one, I'm doing it more as a test to see how it does for me. I usually prefer to use Promi purple buckings. They also come with a nub. But in this case, I'm going to use a standard nub, and I'm going to use a G&G green bucking. Now, with the Prowin hop chambers, as you might find with a lot of aftermarket hop chambers, there is some assembly required to the hop unit. I usually recommend a rotary chamber. If you're going to be getting an aftermarket chamber, I would definitely recommend a rotary chamber, because they tend to work better. The Prowin one does come with everything you need in a little baggie here to create the chamber. To be honest, it goes together exactly the same as this one. There is no difference. It's just that that's aluminium and this one's plastic. Yeah, so the function of the hop chamber is the same. It's just that this one is aluminium and you have to put it together yourself. So as I say, it's exactly the same if you ever do get one. You put your rubber O-ring on the first gap here. You put your wheel on, making sure that you get it where it's got the cutout. One side is just uniform and one side is chamfered round so that it can activate the hop arm. You make sure you put that on the right way with your hop arm in there, and then you put your retaining clip on the back. Your hop arm's held in with the little pin. There's not really a whole lot to it. It's a very easy system to set up. So I'm going to go ahead and put this hop chamber together so that it's ready to go, and then we will go through how you fit the hop chamber and the hop rubber to the inner barrel. So leave that with me and I will come back to you. Okay guys, so that's now at a stage where we can start to put this all back together. As you can see, the parts for the Prowin are very similar. There's our hop arm, and I don't know if you can make it out of my glove, but that little piece there is what we call a nub. There's different designs of nub, there's different strengths of nub. You don't want to lose that. That's very important. I've come across a lot of replicas that my friends have said have had no hop, and usually the reason they've had no hop is because that nub has been missing. So your hop arm is basically pushing down on nothing, so your bucking isn't get pressed into the inner barrel. So very important to keep hold of that nub. Now do remember, when you're removing your old hop unit, as you saw with that, it's sometimes can be tricky to get it off without bunching up the hop rubber. Check your hop rubber after you've removed it if you're going to reuse it. Make sure there's no tears or damage in it, and if there isn't, then you're okay to use it again. But if you're changing your hop rubber anyway, if it does tear when you're taking it off, that's no problem at all. This is a rotary hop, as I said. Your hop up may not look like this. It may look like a standard hop unit, as we discussed in the previous video. However, you know, the principle is the same. Just turn the hop all the way off, take off your barrel retaining clip, which will be just the same on an AR-based replica or most replicas, and then just slide the hop rubber, the hop up off the rubber, and then remove the rubber. Keep hold of your nub, and then, as I say, I always recommend these rotary hop chambers. It doesn't have to be a Prowin, but I found that rotary hop chambers far easier to adjust your hop up, far easier for removal in many cases, and in a lot of cases as well, they hold the hop better. They're not likely to lose the hop setting that you put on them. They're just all around a better design, in my opinion. So we've got our hop unit. Now what do we need to change the hop rubber and to change the hop unit, or if you just change the hop rubber? I like to have some relatively low weight silicone oil. I want it to be quite runny. You can use spray silicone oil if you want. Just make sure there is no petroleum base to that spray silicone. You'll need a rag, as always. I always end up needing a rag, and that's about it. Sometimes Allen keys can come in handy. It just depends on what level you're going to on the hop unit. So what I like to do is, if I've removed an old hop unit, is give the barrel, the outer edge of the barrel, a light oiling, just to make sure that it's clean. I've probably put a bit too much on there, but never mind, we'll get it with a rag. So give the barrel a bit of a clean where your new hop rubber is going to be going on. You ideally don't want to have any issues with that, because your new hop rubber, you don't want it to rip. So people will say to you not to get silicone oil anywhere near the hop rubber because it removes friction and that removes hop. I completely agree with that. But in this instance, I find that this just makes installing the hop so much easier. And eventually that's going to dry out. And to be honest, I've never had any long-term problems with installing them this way. First few shots, you might get some flyers on that. But you know, it just makes the whole process easier. Means you're not going to damage your hop rubber. Overall, means you're going to do a better installation. So for me, I'm all for it. So this is our G&G green bucking. I hope you can make that out in camera, but it is very pronounced, the ridge inside the bucking. Now that ridge will tally up with the indentation on the bottom of your inner barrel. I'm sorry that this barrel is black, it might not show up too well on the camera, but you can see there that you know, that there is a slight raised section. Now all we have to do is take our bucking or hop rubber, and we have to line that ridge up with the indentation on the inner barrel, and then just slide the hop rubber on. And you can see that that shouldn't move once it's on there. Slide it all the way on as far as it will go, and then you'll see that it meets a lip. Don't pull too hard so you pull it all the way through the feed lips there. You just want it on there, and then you can make sure that your ridge is still in place so you know the rubber is straight. And that is your hop rubber installed on your inner barrel. Now, we were saying about the window and getting your hop unit the right way up. Now, where that ridge is, we know that that ridge is solid. There is no hole in the barrel on there, but we know that here, there is a hole. And that is where our nub is going to push down on the bucking, create our bulge inside the inner barrel, which is going to create the hop effect, the Magnus effect, and enable us to hop our BBs where we want them to go. Now, the next thing that I would do at this point before installing the hop unit itself is, it might sound counterproductive, but I would apply a little bit of silicone oil to the outside of the bucking and just give it a wipe round. Give it a wipe round like so. Get a reasonable coat of oil on there. Now that isn't going to affect accuracy because it's on the outside of the hop rubber. It's not on the inside. It's not where the rubber is going to be making contact with the BB. So you haven't reduced any resistance by putting that on there. Make sure that it is silicone oil. You don't want to do it with anything but silicone oil, because non-silicone oils, they can affect rubbers and plastics, petroleum-based oils particularly. So we've now got a nice coating of oil on there, silicone oil. As I say, a lot of people will be screaming at their screens now, saying, no, don't get silicone oil anywhere near your hop rubber. But there is method to my madness on that. There is none inside the hop rubber. So the hop rubber itself is still solid inside. It's still got friction to it. There's only oil on the outside. And there's a very good reason that I do that. And the reason I do that is when you come to install your hop unit, as I mentioned earlier, you know that your hop arm is going in there, so you know that the bottom of the hop unit needs to line up with this line here. So you can use the line again, and what you basically do is just slide the rubber very carefully in there, making sure that you are lined up. And then once you're in, it will only go so far, then that is you. And the reason I put that oil on there is, as you can probably tell, if that isn't a nice smooth surface to push that hop unit on, it's quite difficult to get it on without the hop rubber moving around. The oil just makes it a bit more smooth, a bit softer, a little bit easier to push that on. Now the next part is where it gets a little bit tricky, a little bit fiddly. Now we've got our hop window there. You can see, hopefully on camera, that you can see the hole where the hop arm is going to push the nub down into the window and push that on. Now at this point, if you prefer, so you know your hop unit's not going to move around, you can install your barrel clip. It'll only go one way, and it goes onto those two little flat spots on the barrel that we mentioned, and it just clips on like so. And once that's clipped on, your hop unit is then fastened in place. It can't move. So, like I was saying, the fiddly bit. Now, you might want to do this with tweezers. The choice is yours. What I tend to do is try to just drop it in place. This is our hop arm. As you can see, there's a curvature in it. That curvature is designed to hold this little nub. So the nub wants to fit horizontally in the hop window here. I'm sorry I can't show it very well on camera, but it's not easy, and I did get it the wrong way around. So one option that some people have said to try is to try and coat it with a little bit of silicone oil, and then it'll maybe stay in place on the hop arm as you put it in. As you see how that sits in the hop arm, that is the bit that's going to push on the rubber and push the bulge into the hop window. But as you can see, it's very difficult and very fiddly to do it first time on camera, especially when you're wearing these gloves. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and fit that. And then if you want to try fitting yours at the same time, as I say, it's not the easiest job in the world. Very fiddly. Get yours installed, and then we shall come back to it once we've got the nub fitted. Right, okay, that's the nub underneath the hop arm now. What I like to do is, once I've fitted it, is check in the hop window and make sure when I press down on the top of that hop arm that you do see a bulge appear in the hop rubber within the inner barrel, and then you know you've got it on correctly. The next thing to do, which again is very fiddly, is we have this pin on these rotary style hops, and we have to get that through there to be captive and hold the arm in place. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that now. We're just going to get very fiddly, as it always does. Okay, so once you've got the pin in, there's nothing to keep the pin captive on these particular ones, it's just tension. But that hop arm should be installed. Just double check again that you're getting a nice straight bulge in the hop window. And that's that bit installed. Now, with regards to these rings, you can probably make out how they work. You've got a smooth side and that side. That's the bit that points out the ways. The ring will basically push on here, and that is what creates your hop effect by acting on the arm. So once you've got that pushed on, you then have a retaining clip, and the retaining clip fits into that back notch there, and that's your hop assembled. Now what you can do at this point is you can test it. You can turn the wheel, it could be quite stiff, you can see the arm going up, that is your hop all the way off. Turn the hop all the way on, that's all the way on, and then have a look down the inner barrel and you should be able to see quite the protrusion inside the inner barrel, and that will create your hop effect. But for now we will turn that all the way off. There's one thing that I should mention which was broken on this other one. You will normally have a spring such as this that will sit in front here. These particular Prowins come with 2 lengths of little grub screw there that you can attach your spring onto. You can run with the spring, or you can use shims on the barrel here, and that will shim the barrel out. That will prevent it moving. The idea of the spring is to create tension so that your hop unit is pushed hard against the gearbox face, so that when your nozzle goes in and out of here, you get a good air seal. Well, as good an air seal as you possibly can. So it's all about shimming this back to your gearbox as a nice tight fit. I'll do another video on how to shim it instead of using the spring, but the simplest way to do it is to use the spring, and all the spring does is create spring tension which pushes this back against your gearbox face, gets you a nice good air seal. The final part of these particular hop chambers, or indeed any hop chamber, is to install your brass ring. This particular brass ring, you can slide it over the end of the barrel at this end once your hop's installed. Some people like to do it before. With these Prowins it doesn't always fit very well, but that just prevents up and down movement and spaces out the hop unit. And that's it. That is your hop unit installed. That is you ready to go and reinstall this back in your replica and see how it fires. I don't think we've missed anything there. I think that's pretty much it. The big thing as a recap to remember is make sure you get your hop unit the right way up. So you've got a window there where your arm's going to go through. You want that window to correspond with the window on the inner barrel, which the simplest way of doing it is turn the barrel upside down. You have a ridge line on the bottom of your barrel that we mentioned. That ridge line corresponds with the ridge inside your bucking, your rubber. You put your bucking on first, making sure that that rubber goes down the ridge. You slide your hop unit on with the ridge facing up, so that this, which is where your BBs get faded in, this is in line with that ridge. And if you get it straight, you know you're also getting your hop unit straight as well on the barrel. Once that's on, you can put your barrel clip in and forget about it. You can reconstruct the rest of your hop unit. If you decided not to take your hop unit fully apart, you need to turn the hop up all the way off before you try doing any of this. To be fair, you're gonna struggle because at a minimum you're gonna have to take your hop arm off, because the nub that we mentioned could drop through when you take it off and you'll lose it. Don't lose the nub. The nub is a very important thing to remember. I've lost count of the number of replicas I've worked on for friends where their hop up is not working, and the only reason it's not working is because the nub has not been placed under that hop arm. You saw how long it took me and how fiddly it was to get in, but you do have to do it. You can choose your own designs of nub and hop rubber and hop chamber combinations, but the basics are the same. And the only thing that I would recommend from a hop chamber point of view, if you're going to buy an aftermarket one, is buy a rotary one if you're using an AR replica. The rotary hop-ups on ARs are brilliant. They work a lot better. In fact, most other replicas that I've come across often have a rotary hop as standard, barring obviously AKs and things like that. They have a sliding hop, and the MP5 has a sliding hop. I'm not sure if there's any modifications you can do to those, because I've always found those hop-ups to be okay on my versions of those replicas. But if you're doing an AR replica, which is one of the most common, and the ones that I've had issues with when people have asked me to have a look at the replicas for them, the most common fault I've found is incorrect hop chamber assembly or incorrect fitment. So you want your hop up the right way around, you want to make sure you've got your nub in there, and then you're good to go. It doesn't matter if you want to use a bit of silicone oil on the outside of the hop rubber to aid you on putting it on. To be perfectly honest, if you struggle getting the hop rubber over the inner barrel, rather than risk ripping the hop rubber, just put a little bit of silicone oil around the inner barrel where you're going to be putting the hop rubber on. It's not going to cause you any major problems. You might have the odd flyer for the first 100 or so shots, possibly, maybe less. I've never had any issues. After a few test shots, the hop unit will normally bed in. So there you go. That's an explanation of how to change your hop unit. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. And if you have any other questions about hop chambers and hop units, or any problems or any issues, just drop me a comment. I'll always respond to comments. Be happy to help out. We will look forward to seeing you in the next one. We'll see what we look at then.